Welcome to Quiz Time. I am your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you, talking about things like hobbies. So let's see what we know, what we remember. Let's give our brains a workout, and let's have a lot of fun in the process, shall we? Thanks for joining me. Let's begin. He was cruising for a bruisin'. What does this mean? He was driving too fast? He was drinking and driving? Or he was looking for trouble? That means he was looking for trouble. U.S. architect John Lautner is credited as one of the first to come up with an infinity pool, which was designed in the early 1960s. Is that true or is that false? That's true. At $9.2 billion, this casino is the world's most expensive one built. Marina Bay Sands, Singapore, Area Campus, Las Vegas, or Venetian Macau Resort Hotel in China. It's the Area Campus, Las Vegas. Hershon Family Entertainment, which owns Dollywood, runs a theme park in Missouri called, is it the Silver Dollar City, Wild Adventures, or Splash Island? And that would be Silver Dollar City. Montalcino in Tuscany was originally known for its olive oil until a frost in 1985 destroyed more than 80% of the olive trees. Is that true or is that false? And that is true. A birdie in golf is when a golfer scores, is it one stroke under par on an individual hole, two strokes under par on an individual hole, or one stroke over par on an individual hole? A birdie is one stroke under par on an individual hole. Alexander Hamilton was born in, was it Braintree, Massachusetts, Pope's Creek, Virginia, or Charlestown in Nevis? Alexander Hamilton was born in Charlestown in Nevis. What location is known for its sail fishing? Key West, Florida, Ixtapa, Guatemala, or Great Abaco, Bahamas? Sail fishing, Ixtapa, Guatemala. Go there if you want to sail fish. In croquet, staking out is when your ball hits the finishing stake, you are the first to play, or your ball rolls out of bounds. Staking out is when your ball hits the finishing stake. Germany's Warsteiner International Montgolfiad is a festival of, is it Pilsner beer, golf, or hot air balloons? It is a festival for hot air balloons. True or false? There are at least 14,000 species of mushrooms, and 70% of them are safe to eat. That is false. Only about half of all mushrooms are safe to eat. Which place is called the mushroom capital of the world? Kennett Square, USA, Kyoto, Japan, or Rotterdam in the Netherlands? The mushroom capital of the world, Kennett Square, USA. In lawn bowling, players try to roll their ball as close as possible to a smaller ball called a, is it a bowl, a jack, or a till? And that smaller ball is called a jack. Won't You Be My Neighbor was said in The Happy Days, The Muppets, or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Which show sang that? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? True or false? Chocolate chips were invented along with the creation of the chocolate chip cookie. Is that true or is that false? Chocolate chips were created to create a cookie. Makes sense, but it's not true. Chocolate chips were invented after the cookie. The original chocolate chip cookie used chocolate chopped off a bar. What is the oldest hummingbird festival in the U.S.? Rockport Hummingbird Celebration, the Sedona Hummingbird Festival, or Alaska's Hummingbird Migration Celebration? The oldest one in the U.S. is the Rockport Hummingbird Celebration. Eclectus parrots are unusual because they're the most expensive bird in the pet trade, they're the largest parrot, or the male and female have different coloring. What makes them unusual? The male and female have different coloring. That makes them unusual. In the USA, volleyball is second only to football in popularity. Is that true or is that false? Volleyball. That's true. The game Boggle was created in, was it created in 1955, 1972, or 1987? The game Boggle was invented in 1972. Who is called the father of modern yoga? Brahmachari, Niels Bohr, or Krishna Macharya? And the father of modern yoga is Krishna Macharya. Zermatt is not declared to be the home of the best Appenzeller cheese, a car-free town, or the place with the greatest density of gourmet restaurants in the Alps. Zermatt is not declared to be the home of the best Appenzeller cheese. The Victoria Louise, the first ship commissioned for use as a cruise ship, was launched in, was it 1844, 1910, or 1900? The Victoria Louise. And she was christened in 1900. Monterey has more beachfront lodging than any other city in California. Is that true or is that false? And that is false. Laguna Beach has the most beachfront lodging in California. Singapore's Sentosa Island, now a vacation spot, used to be. Was it a British base and prisoner of war camp? Was it a maximum security prison? Or is it the private island of the Sultan of Johor? It used to be a British camp and prisoner of war camp. The great pond snail, the largest freshwater snail in the UK, can get as long as 2 inches, maybe 3 inches, or perhaps as much as 6 inches. 3 inches long. The Green Valley Festival, the longest running community festival in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, is held on which island? It's held on Nevis Island. The main attraction for tourists in Kaunas, Lithuania is the natural scenery and hiking paths, the casinos and the nightlife, or art, architecture, and history. Art, architecture, and history. Kaunas is beautiful. The most common fish kept in garden ponds are they koi, are they goldfish, or are sturgeon kept in garden ponds? Most common are goldfish. True or false? Used coffee grounds are rich in nitrogen and can aid in plant growth if added to your garden. Is that true or is that false? That's true. And I use it there too. It works! The Wizard of Oz's full name is Oscar Zoroaster Fadrig Isaac Norman Henkel Emmanuel Ambroise Diggs. Is that bogusness or is that true? It sounds silly, doesn't it? Which probably means it's true. It's true. Oita Prefecture possesses the most geothermal springs in Japan. How many are registered? 2,357, 1,634, or 4,788? There are 4,788 geothermal springs in that prefecture. One of the first documented water slides was it New Zealand, the United States of America, or was the first documented water slide in Italy? The first documented water slides were in New Zealand. Pfeiffer Beach in California gets its purple/pink hue from, is it from nearby manganese garnet deposits, marine algae, or from pink shells? Pfeiffer Beach gets its hue from nearby manganese garnet deposits. Buddleia, or Buddleia, is also known as bougainvillea, butterfly bush, or swamp milkweed. Buddleia is also known as butterfly bush. Buntings are birds in the family. Is it Turdidae, Paradidae, or Cardinalidae? Buntings. They are in the genealogical family Cardinalidae. In the Rockford Files, James Garner's character drives is it a Ferrari 308 GTS, a Pontiac Firebird, or a Ford Gran Torino? Easy for me to say, eh? He drives a Pontiac Firebird. The most in-ground pools in the U.S. are in Hawaii and Florida, California and Florida, or California and Hawaii. Who's got the most in-ground pools in the U.S.? California and Florida. The 1952 Summer Olympics were held in, was it Rome, Italy, Stockholm, Sweden, or Helsinki, Finland? The 52 Summer Olympics were held in Helsinki, Finland. The petunia gets its name from the Tupi-Guarani language word petun, which means nightshade, petite, or tobacco. And it gets its name from tobacco. The dead leaf butterfly's wings morph to better mimic leaves during both the wet and the dry seasons. Is this true or is that false? And that is true. Maiden's Tower is a lighthouse in, is it in England? Is it in the United States? Or will you find that in Turkey? Maiden's Tower is in Turkey. Which is a good indoor plant for beginners that doesn't take up much space? The snake plant, the cast iron plant, or the pothos? A good indoor plant for beginners is the snake plant. What is the recommended depth for a garden pond? 10 to 20 inches, 36 to 40 inches, or 24 to 36 inches? The recommended depth is 24 to 36 inches deep. When the first successful phone service was established in 1878, Alexander Graham Bell suggested answering the phone with, "What ho?" Is that true or is that false? That's false. He suggested ahoy. Gin rummy is it a two-player variant of rummy? Is it 7-card rummy? Or is it a variation of contract rummy? Gin rummy. Gin rummy is a two-player variant of rummy. The Red Hat Society was started in, was it 1987, 1998, or 1979? The Red Hat Society was started in 1998. Wolverines are the closest relatives to bears. Is that true or is that false? Wolverines are not. The bear's closest relatives are seals. Water hawthorn is reported to smell like roses, gardenias, or vanilla. It's reported to smell like vanilla. Every part of the lotus is edible except for is it the leaves, the flowers, or the tubers? Every part of the lotus is edible except the flowers. I'm probably not going to eat any of it, actually. Started in 1972, the Lola Car Show is held every year is it held in Wisconsin, Kansas, or is it held in Texas? The Lola Car Show is held in Wisconsin. Which film did MGM force Frank Sinatra to play in? Was it The Godfather, The Kissing Bandit, or was it The Pride and the Passion that Frank Sinatra was forced to play in? It was The Kissing Bandit. Inflatable toys and furniture became popular in the 1950s. Is that true or is that false? Inflatable toys and furniture became popular in the 1970s. The first modern pool made of steel reinforced concrete was built in the mid-1890s, the early 1920s, or the late 1940s. The first modern pool made of steel reinforced concrete was built in the early 1920s. What can be added to soil to make certain hydrangeas blue? A soil acidifier, lime, or calcium carbonate? You can add a soil acidifier to make them blue. Stalin banned Hamlet. Is that true or is that false? We shall have no Hamlet in the Soviet Union. That sounds silly. And it's also false. He never actually banned Hamlet, but his favorite theory, he did question why they would show it. Okay. Not actually banned. Just suggested. Which is kind of the same thing there. Until 1887, people in England played this game based on rules that were created in India. Did they play polo? Did they play badminton? Or were they playing cricket? The rules were created in India. Badminton. A group of goldfish is called do we call them a school of goldfish, a glittering of goldfish, or a troubling of goldfish? They are called a troubling of goldfish. The term cozy mysteries was first coined in the 1930s. Is that true or is it false? And that is false. The term first appeared in the late 20th century when authors produced work that didn't show sex or violence. in an attempt to recreate the work of the golden age of detective fiction. And now you know. In the 1950s and 60s, TV repairmen would make house calls to replace burned out tubes. Is that true or is it false? Did TV repairmen actually show up to your house and change out the tubes? They did that. Also, televisions had tubes back then. What is the third most popular pet after dogs and cats? Are they birds? Are they fish? Or is it rabbits? The third most popular pet after dogs and cats. Fish is the third most popular. According to Sid Saxon, what is the possible ancestor of all rummy games? Is it Kanhu? Is it four-color cards? Or is it Mahjong? It is Kanhu. What English game became popular with Chinese troops in the 1930s? Was it rugby? Was it table tennis? Or was it golf? Which English game became popular with Chinese troops? It was table tennis. Scientists believe that the early human ancestors might have had 3 eyelids, and the third eyelid became the small fold in the corner of human eyes today. Is that fact or is that biological fiction? I guess it's a fact. What is unusual about Leavenworth, Washington? It is run by solar power? Or all the shops in town are either cafes or bakeries? Or the town is modeled on a Bavarian village? What makes it unusual? The town is modeled on a Bavarian village. The oldest card game in the world is it Karnoffel? Is it Leaf Game? Or is it Blackjack? The oldest card game in the world. That would be Leaf Game. The original Chinese name for Mahjong meant, did it mean tile? Did it mean skill? Or does it mean sparrow? The original Chinese name for Mahjong. It is sparrow. A philatelist is that another word for a hematologist? Is it another name for a marriage counselor? Or is it someone who collects or studies postage stamps? A philatelist. That is someone who collects or studies postage stamps. The largest herbarium in the world is it in London, England? Is it in Paris, France? Or is it in Vienna, Austria? The largest herbarium. That would be in Paris, France. Where is the largest bird park? In Mandai, Singapore? In Lower Saxony, Germany? Or in Birdsville, Australia? The largest bird park. That is located in Lower Saxony in Germany. Before the 18th century, rabbits were called conies, while the term rabbit was used for baby conies. Is that true or is that false? Is it too silly to be true? It is not. It is true. The first crossword puzzle book was published by Simon & Schuster in, was it 1913? Was it 1924? Or was it in 1943? Our first crossword puzzle was published in 1924. What is the only card game that Pip seems to know how to play as a child in Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations? Is it bridge? Is it beggar my neighbor? Or is it blackjack? Only card game that Pip seems to know is beggar my neighbor. The oldest surviving European ship models are occasionally found in, are they found in churches? tombs, or are they found in castles? They are found in churches. Reptiles have double cones in their eyes that allow them to see. Is it farther than us? Does it allow them to see heat signatures, or do they see ultraviolet wavelengths? Reptiles have double cones so they can see ultraviolet wavelengths. What is the second largest reef in the world? Is it the Belize Barrier Reef? Is it the Apo Reef? Or is it the Red Sea Coral Reef? The second largest reef in the world is the Belize Barrier Reef. Craft beer is also known as, is it called hobby beer, designer beer, or microbrew? Craft beer is also known as microbrew. When was the first ostrich hatched in Arizona? Was it in 1891? Was it in 1965? Or was it in 1927? The first ostrich was hatched in Arizona in 1891. The recommended temperature for a hot tub is it 110 degrees Fahrenheit? Is it 90 degrees Fahrenheit? Or is it 100 degrees Fahrenheit? The recommended temperature is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The fire crow in the song Dynasty was it a burning carriage? Was it a firework catapulted from a cannon? Or was it a kite-carrying incendiary powder that was used for war? The fire crow in the song Dynasty. A kite-carrying incendiary powder that was used for war. What is Turkey's capital? Is it Istanbul? Is it Ankara? Or is it Bursa? Turkey's capital. That would be Ankara. Playing badminton helps control hypertension by lowering blood pressure. Is that true or is that false? You can control high blood pressure by playing badminton. That's true. But it's competitive. The first cat cafe opened in, did it open in Japan, Korea, or in Taiwan? Who got the first cat cafe? Well, the first one opened in Taiwan. Where is the Jumping Frog Jubilee held? DeRidder, Louisiana, Angels Camp, California, or Broken Hill, Australia? The Jumping Frog Jubilee is held in Angels Camp, California. Tai Chi reduces the risk and fear of falling in older adults. Is that true or is that false? Tai Chi. Well, that's got to be true. Despite the first discovery of gold in 1862, this state continues to have promising gold panning prospects, as it still has many untouched rivers. Is it Idaho? Is it Colorado? Or is that Alaska? That would be Idaho. Tomato plants grow best when they receive full shade, part shade, or full sun. What do tomato plants need to grow best? Tomato plants need full sun to grow their best. The disc dog sport, commonly called frisbee dog, gained recognition in 1974 when a college student and his whippet jumped the fence at a baseball game, and the dog raced 35 miles per hour and leaped 9 feet into the air to catch the discs. Is that true or is that false? That's true. All of that is true. Snorkeling is the same as scuba diving. Does it require an air tank? Or it doesn't require special training? Which of those three is true about snorkeling? Snorkeling doesn't require any special training. Horseback riding is it only for the young? Is it best learned on a green horse? Or it has a relaxing effect on the body and mind? Which of those is true about horseback riding? Horseback riding has a relaxing effect on the body and mind. The largest non-virtual bird watching event is Global Bird Fair in Rutland, England, the Japan Bird Festival in Abiko City, or Cape May Birding Festival in New Jersey, USA. The Global Bird Fair in Rutland, England, has the largest non-virtual birdwatching event. The AMA Supercross Championship was inaugurated in 1948. Is that true, or is that false? And that is false. It was held in 48, but the championship was inaugurated in 1974. Skateboards originated long before surfboards. Is that fact or is that fiction? What came first, a skateboard or the surfboard? Well, the skateboards were created in the 50s by surfers who wanted to practice their skills while on land. So, surfboards came first. The Pacific Northwest Reptile and Exotic Animal Show is it the smallest show of its kind in the U.S.? Is it not a real event? Or is it the largest and longest running show of its kind in the Pacific Northwest? What is true about that festival? The largest and longest running show of its kind in the Pacific Northwest. Which is the longest aircraft museum in the world? Is it Russia's Central Air Force Museum? Is it China's Aviation Museum? Or is it the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum in the USA? You'll find that in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian. Where is the largest Disney park? Is it in Florida? Is it in California? Or is it in Tokyo, Japan? Which of those has the largest Disney park? The largest one is Disney World in Florida, USA. How many river grades are there to denote the level of kayak experience needed? Are there 10, 6, or 8 river grades denoting the level of kayak experience needed? There are 6 grades. The national sport of Bhutan is it wrestling? Is it soccer? Or is archery the national sport of Bhutan? The national sport of Bhutan is archery. Sherman Poppin's wife gave his invention, the precursor to the modern snowboard, the name snurfer by combining surfing and snow. Is that true or is that false? That's true. For a Campfire Girls bake sale in 1939, Kellogg employee Mildred Day published a recipe that consisted of Rice Krispies, melted marshmallows, and margarine. These snacks eventually became Rice Krispies treat. Fact or fiction? That's a fact. And God bless her for it. Which is the world's largest hot air balloon event? Is it the Albuquerque International Balloon Festival, USA, the Warsteiner International Mount Goldfiede in Germany, or the Bristol International Balloon Festival in the UK? The largest hot air balloon festival is the Albuquerque International Balloon Festival, USA, and that was question 100. Thank you for playing Quiz Time. Drop your score in the comments section, please. And don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you don't miss Quiz Time when we come out with another one. Again, thanks for joining us. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.